Hi, I'm Dominic Bodden. I'm an illustrator in New York City, and today I'm going to show you some image making techniques with Chalk Pastel. So let's jump in. Before we jump in, let me go over some materials that we can use. We've got Chalk Pastel pencils, which are my preference. The reason why I like these is that you have more control over the marks that you make. We can go in for really fine details. Another option are the compressed hard chalk pastels. These are wonderful for putting down a mark and covering a large area. The soft pastels are still chalk, but they're wider and they let off a lot more pigment. These can also be sharpened so that you can make a fine point and moved onto the side to create a bigger mark. What we're using is a sanded paper. The tooth and the grit of the paper holds on to the pastel, and we can blend, add layer upon layer upon layer. I've also got my mirror set up so that I can see my full face, and I have a bit of a light source coming from a direction where I can have some cast shadows. Cast shadows are very important because they're going to make landmarks for us when we're drawing. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be very loose, and I'm just starting to draw the shape of our shadows. I'm using a soft pastel that's sharpened at one end, and I'm using it to drag and almost scrape across the page, and I'm looking for shape. On my face, the biggest landmark are my eyebrows. That's going to lead me into working the shape of my eye. It's going to take me down into the bridge of my nose, to the shadow under my nose, and letting it lead down into the shape of my mouth. And I'm almost scribbling, because the good thing about pastel is that you can work in layers. So I can draw right on top of this if I need to. Notice how my tool is hardly leaving the page. I'm just letting the line lead me into another line. Now using the side of my chalk, I'm just going to cover up another area. Since we started using the soft pastel, let's try something different. Let's go into the compressed hard pastels, and we're going to use this to establish some of our highlights. The best thing about this, you can break it apart, use it in small segments. I like something small that I can grip and have a little bit more control of. I have the tip that I can use to make a fine line, and I can also put down a good tone. I'm going to first establish a highlight here that I see on my nose, and I'm going to pull that into the bridge. I'm seeing some light coming down here, and what I want to suggest is to look for shapes. Try to figure out what the light is doing. I want to encourage you to experiment with what happens and different ways of blending. Again, I'm looking for shapes and playing with what the pastel can do on this surface. Let's try to add some color. Orange would be good because it's a complement of the blue we put down. Let's warm this up, especially here in the nose. The ears are always a nice warm place. So we can add a nice blush to the cheeks. Let's pull in some cool blues and greens. And notice how quickly that descends into the chin and the neck. And we're controlling how the viewer is going to read the portrait. Let's throw in some darks. Let's play with our shadows. I tried to avoid using a pure white and a pure black and see what I can accomplish with just using some color. So let's try some purples. Another thing to remember is it's better to just tap the dust off instead of blowing it into the air. And if you're working with chalk pastels, maybe try to work in a well-ventilated room. Let's pull in some dark browns and reds. Let's go into the shape of this hair, get some expressive lines. We're experimenting and we're playing. Using the tip, I'm going to start to pull in the shape of the eye. And I've decided that I'm only going to indicate the eye. Some of the mouth into the chin, and spread out that line a little bit. Bring in some of this terracotta. Now this is fun. What we have a variety of mark making. We have line, we have tone, we have value. That's all you need, and if you continue in this direction, you're going to learn. If you can get through this exercise and come out at the end with a greater understanding of how to use these tools, you're on the right track. Now let's indicate a little bit of what's going on in the shirt. Developing a pattern and filling in the body is really fun because pattern gives you some sense of design. And what's fun about the shirt that I'm wearing, these are cross contours. So they're going to inform what's going on under the surface and give you a sense of what's the anatomy. Now let's pull in some pencils so I can show you the kind of control you can have. Let's play around with just a white. We're now just inventing. I'm going into the stitch, giving an indication of the form here. And now with this, I can add a pass of even just like a wash. But if you keep on playing in this way and being very inventive, you learn a sense of play and you have made discoveries. Sometimes you can come at the end with a really beautiful portrait that can become a part of your portfolio. So continue with the work and have fun. If you like this tutorial, please subscribe to the Domestika YouTube channel. If you enjoyed working with me, you will love my course on Domestika, where I'll show you how to develop a portrait about a person in a meaningful environment, from inspiration all the way through the final illustration. So come and join me and we'll have a lot of fun.